This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Just when the Milwaukee Brewers needed it most, they come through offensively and dominate the Atlanta Braves this evening by a final score of 4-1. Jackson Chourio with a home run, Jake Bauers with a home run, and your Milwaukee Brewers get a much-needed victory en route over the Braves 4-1 at American Family Field. Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Locked On Brewers postcast. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Lots to get in on the program. Quinn Priester continuing to dominate. We'll talk about his latest numbers within the Milwaukee Brewers over the last almost about a month or so. Now, the bounce back bats, that's going to be the theme for the show. It's not going to knock your socks off as far as what the Brewers did today offensively. However, where we have been saying that the Brewers need to be better is situational baseball and putting the ball in play and making things happen when those opportunities present themselves. And that's exactly what they did this evening with a 4-1 win over the Braves. We'll get to that in a must-win game tomorrow, Game 3 against these Atlanta Braves at American Family Field. The win today, improving the Brewers 36-32. We'll get to all of that, but tonight we'll get into your scoring summary brought to you by Supply House and Monarch Money. It started in the third inning, and really before we even get into getting into that third inning, that's tonight's turning point in a 4-1 win over the Braves.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
The third inning got things going for the Brewers, got things going in general for this game. Jackson Chourio homering on a fly ball out to center field. That would be his 11th of the year. Joey Ortiz would score, make that 2-0 Brewers there in the bottom of the third inning. Then in the fifth, Ronald Acuna Jr. would respond with an RBI single to center field. That would score Nick Allen. That would make it still Brewers ahead 2-1. And Jake Bauers coming through in the bottom of the sixth inning for your Brewers, his fifth home run of the season, a no-doubter, 400-plus feet out there to center field. That would make the game 3-1. That was a solo shot for Jake Bauers. Bottom of the seventh. This is where I know I mentioned the Brewers dominated the Braves. It felt like a domination, and certainly they did on the mound, and we'll get into those numbers coming up shortly. But it felt like, for me, the seventh inning was a good at bat, a good opportunity for the Brewers that they cashed in a run, but also a failed opportunity. And we'll talk about them cashing in. William Contreras would draw the bases loaded walk. Caleb Durbin would score. That would give the Brewers a 4-1 lead. We would see Trevor McGill, Abner Uribe come in and shut down the Atlanta Braves as the Brewers go on for the 4-1 win over the Braves, 36-32 on the season. I'm not going to get into too many negatives for the Milwaukee Brewers. I feel like we have discussed that at lengths prior. But if there's something I'm going to focus on negatively tonight, it's going to be that seventh inning. The Brewers had a great opportunity to kind of blow this game open and really give it to the Braves in Game 2 at American Family Field. I don't want to say it was a missed opportunity or a missed chance, but it certainly felt like it in the moment with the bases loaded, less than 2 outs. You plated 1 run as William Contreras walked in, but that was all you would get, over that course of that inning, and just a failed opportunity, a couple of pitching changes for the Braves in that sequence, and it just failed like an opportunity that the Brewers could have capitalized. And as we have talked about, this team is good, really, really good when they take advantage of those situations, and we just did not get that tonight in that seventh inning with the chance to kind of put the game away. The Brewers failed to do it in that moment. However, the positives is that this team is now 36-32, a much-needed victory over the Braves in Game 2, now sitting 4 games over 500. You followed up some very pivotal performances at the plate. Pitiful is what I meant to say. Performances at the plate. And tonight was a step in the right direction. I don't think it necessarily is the one that, we're going to be fully satisfied with. However, it is a step in the right direction for this Milwaukee Brewers team, as we have kind of talked about the frustrations offensively, especially when it comes to, getting guys on base and capitalizing on those opportunities, especially when you got a guy like Quinn Priester on the mound. And before we go any further, the Brewers beating the Braves 4-1, and we finally have some good news to talk about. Let's present your player of the game on the Locked On Brewers postcast, none other than Quinn Priester.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Priester tonight, Quinn Priester, over the last 6 starts for your Milwaukee Brewers, has been something else. Tonight, he allowed 7 hits over 6 innings of work, just 1 earned run, and 7 strikeouts. I think when the trade was announced, there was some pushback, and I guess you could argue rightfully so, of who the Brewers gave up and who they were getting in return, who hadn't really produced much in the major leagues with Boston, with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And to his, Quinn Priester's defense, he hadn't really been to the pitching lab yet here in Milwaukee, and that certainly proved to be noteworthy, certainly in the last month or so, and getting him under Chris Hook for the last handful of weeks has really paid dividends. Over his last 6 starts, he has allowed 1.5 earned runs. I mean, he has simply been really, really good. You go all the way back to May 13th at Cleveland. He would take, the Brewers would lose the game, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. His next start, May 19th against Baltimore, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. At Pittsburgh, his old team, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. At Philly, a 6-2 Brewers win. A very good offensive with Philly, although they didn't have Bryce Harper in that moment. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Cincinnati, the 9-1 win last week, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and he follows it up this evening, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 7 strikeouts. And it was a different start for Quinn Priester because usually we had seen DL Hall the last few games be his opener. We saw Tyler Alexander at times be his opener. Today it was all Quinn Priester getting the start. He's my player of the game because I thought he set the tone not only for this team. You could look at Jackson Chourio and Jake Bauers coming through. Certainly Jackson Chourio in the 3rd inning to kind of get the Brewers going. And really that 2-run home run was all the Brewers would need. It's the turning point. However, I think that the way Quinn Priester has bounced back after a rough start to his tenure here in Milwaukee, getting a little bit more acclimated with the coaching and the way that this team plays. And my message to the Brewers, the actual Brewers, not you guys, the fans, you only need to score a few runs a game to get, you score 4 runs, guys, in the other 2 games you lost against the Padres, you win you sweep the series. Last night, the wheels kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. Tonight, you score 4 runs, you only allow 1. This is how this team is built to win. This is what makes this team successful, not only so far in what we've seen this year, but how they won 93 games last year on their way to an NL Central Division championship. This is how they play. This is how they win. This is how they're successful. And it was on display tonight with Quinn Priester putting on a clinic against the Atlanta Braves. The Brewers getting the 4-1 win, 36-32 on the season. Lots more to get to. A must win tomorrow. We'll talk to that. Nick, Taylor, Cody lined up on the YouTube chat with your thoughts and your comments on the Brewers 4-1 win over the Atlanta Braves. Lots more to get to coming up right after this. Tonight's program is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trade. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, whether you're in HVAC or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, and more than 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off of your first order. Jake Bauers had his 5th home run of the year, so it's destiny. Use that promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And the program also tonight brought to you by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track, and that's exactly where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, and all of your spending in one simple place. So now you can just stop managing your money and you can start beginning to build your wealth. Instead of juggling all those multiple different apps, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan out long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. 50% off of your first year. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's monarchmoney.com. Once again, for all you out there, use code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. A very much needed bounce back victory for your Milwaukee Brewers over the Atlanta Braves in game 2 of their 3-game series. This one by a final score of 4-1. Quinn Priester wheeling and dealing out on that mound for your Milwaukee Brewers. And we had talked about just the last segment about the offense, about you only need a couple of runs with this team. And if you don't believe me, and maybe because I yell at this mic every night after a Brewer game, and maybe you don't want to believe me, that's fine. When the Brewers score more than 4 runs, tonight they did just that. 4-1 win over the Braves. 4 games now back over 500, 36-32. When the Brewers score more than 4 runs, they are 30-7 this season. 30-7 this season when the Milwaukee Brewers score more than 4 runs. Now, if you look at their record and indicate, well, they're 36-32, the flip side of that's probably not very good, and you would be correct. This Milwaukee Brewers team, when they don't score 4 runs, so if they score 3 runs or fewer, 5-25. I'm not going to break any news. I'm not going to break any stories. You guys all know by now that this is how this team wins, right? They're gritty at the plate. They're, gritty on the bases. They're gritty defensively. They got multiple different arms. This is how they win. And 4 more runs in a game at times, sure, it might be hard. It's not asking for a lot from an offense with Jackson Chourio, William Contreras, 2 of those guys, very big pieces to the Brewers win tonight. Jake Bauers, as we had mentioned, it was a 434-foot shot for Jake Bauers. I knew it was over 400. StatCast was acting a little strange today, so I wasn't exactly sure. But a 434-foot shot for Jake Bauers. So it's not asking for a ton, and that's where the frustration, again, if you want to point to something, frustrating, is that on the backside of the 4-1 win, you had an opportunity in the 7th inning to probably plate at least 2 or 3 more guys, and you just failed to do it. And that's where it comes in to the situational hitting that we need to develop a little bit more consistency for your Milwaukee Brewers. Let's begin with our everydayer Nick over on YouTube. A good all-around win. Did Joey Ortiz's ears get red with everyone's microscope focused on him as of late? Joey Ortiz tonight, 2 for 3 at the plate. It's not a coincidence, though. Joey Ortiz gets on base, and what happens when Joey Ortiz gets on base? It's a 2-run home run off the bat of Jackson Chourio. Not to pat myself on the back, but I had mentioned that when this team went on that 8-game winning streak, when they rattled off 9 out of 10 wins, it was the bottom of the order getting going for the offense and allowing those guys to have an opportunity. And when that opportunity presented itself, like guys like Jackson Chourio, Christian Yelich, who was absolutely huge for this Brewers team over that stretch of time. He got the day off tonight. William Contreras, Rhys Hoskins, and I thought Rhys had one tonight off the bat. I think it probably traveled a foot or 2 short of the left field fence. I thought that would have been a back-to-back shot after Jake Bauers. It was so close there in the 6th, but I thought for sure it had an opportunity to go. But that gives those guys, those power bats, that the meat of your order, those opportunities. And it's on the meat of the order, too, at that point to come through and come in. Cody over on YouTube. I'm still frustrated with this win, leaving too many guys on base. I hate to be that way, but when you have that opportunity to blow the doors open, but I am glad they won. So let's look at those numbers for your Milwaukee Brewers. Not great when it comes to runners in scoring position tonight. 7 guys left on base. Obviously, Jackson Chourio had the home run there with Joey Ortiz on base, but overall 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. William Contreras did draw the walk in the 7th inning to bring the run in. Jake Bauers obviously had the solo home run, but to Cody's point, again, the leaving the guys on base and the big inning you're going to look at is going to be, I believe, it was the 7th or 8th inning where the Brewers had an opportunity to kind of, like we mentioned, blow the doors open with less than 2 outs and the bases loaded. Is gonna skew that number a little bit, but nonetheless, you got to come through and at least get the ball in play. And we're striking out, popping out, and failing to get anything across the board in that moment was extremely frustrating because we don't know where this game is going to go. At that point, it was 4-1. Again, we saw the Braves rattle off a boatload of runs late in that game last night. It's an offense. If you ask Pat Murphy, he talked about it after the game that he fears still a lot. Like there's a lot of talent within that Atlanta Braves offense. It might not be the Atlanta Braves team that we had grown accustomed to over years past, but it's still a really good offensive Braves team. And when you have those opportunities, you have to capitalize them. And the Brewers, it didn't come back to bite them. They clearly won the game. It didn't affect the outcome of the score, a 4-1 Milwaukee Brewers win. However, those are the little things that they did in the 8-game winning streak, and certainly what they did consistently a year ago that they're failing to do this year. And you want to see them present more of those opportunities and turn them in to runs, especially guys, when you got Quinn Priester absolutely dealing. When you have, I've said it before, I'll keep saying it. I'm sure somebody can find a better name out there, but off the top of my head, Abner Uribe, and again, I'm probably being biased. He's been one of, if not the best reliever, certainly in the National League, but you can make the case for major leagues as well. One of the, not the, but one of the very best relievers out of the pen. Trevor McGill has been very good. He gets his 13th save this evening. He blew that save on Saturday. Caleb Durbin helped him forget about it rather quickly with the walk-off home run. Trevor McGill looks really good with that sub-3 ERA now at 2.82 and his 13th save of the season. This is how this team is built to win. And again, when you have those opportunities that Cody had mentioned and I had mentioned, certainly in a critical juncture of that game, late in that game, when you could plate 2 or 3 extra runs and you have the bullpen you have, and you have the defensive talent that you have scattered throughout the infield and outfield, you are going to win a majority of your games. And we had mentioned when the Brewers score 4 or more, their record is really, really good. Everydayer Taylor over on YouTube. Wish Bauers was more versatile to be in the lineup more often. There was a point in this season, I want to say it was mid-May, before the Brewers started, before Christian Yelich got going, and before things really started clicking offensively for the Brewers, that I thought Jake Bauers was your best hitter. And I think you could have probably have made the case. I don't want to go back and lie to you and give you some numbers, off of, a month ago or exactly what it was, but he was consistently creating contact, which at certain parts of this season, it's been a struggle for your Brewers. But I think he has been pretty versatile, guys. Remember, he also plays first base, right? You're splitting time with Rhys Hoskins, and we've also seen him out in left field and being able to kind of fill in where he can. Isaac Collins has been fantastic, and tonight Christian Yelich gets the night off. But I think the consistency with Jake Bauers, I mean, it's hard to see his numbers throughout the course of the season where he doesn't play all the time. A 239 batting average, 793 OPS. The 5 home runs, though, and he really hasn't had 92 plate appearances this year. I mean, for the short, sample size, I guess we could say, from Jake Bauers, those are very promising numbers. Big news for the Milwaukee Brewers. It involves a pitcher. We'll discuss that and the things you'll be talking about tomorrow. Coming up right after this in a 4-1 Milwaukee Brewers win.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Milwaukee Brewers made a headline this afternoon, if you weren't paying attention. Jacob Misiorowski coming up from Nashville, likely to get the start on Thursday against the St. Louis Cardinals. Lots of you are questioning, what does that mean, including Nick? Did the crew bring up Miz to move off of their surplus of pitchers and trade for a big bat? I will say, I don't want to say that's what's going to happen, but I think Thursday and so on is going to be a very telling sign on where this team could go. You have to win games. Number one, you have to continue to stay in the race, because if you start to fall out of it or slip out of it, there's no sense in shipping off, players, that, if you're not going to get what you want in return for now or for the future. I think they're going to see where Mizorowski is. Remember when he was up, certainly during spring training, the command was the issue. He has rectified that down in Nashville. So I'll be curious to see what he does coming up this week. The Brewers with an early game tomorrow, but then Thursday, a big, very, very, very big, maybe the series of the year right so far with the St. Louis Cardinals coming into town. Take care of business tomorrow if you're the Milwaukee Brewers. But I don't know if bringing up Miz is going to be the reason that this Brewers team makes a move. I think it's going to be dependent on which Jacob Mizorowski we see up here. He certainly has the stuff, and you pair him with a guy like another guy who's down there with him in Logan Henderson. The way Quinn Priester has just been fantastic. I had mentioned it over his last 6 starts, 1.5 earned runs per game. I mean, he has been fantastic. Quinn Priester, that is. So there is a surplus. They need a bat. I mentioned it on Twitter at Brandon_Snide. It's great that you're bringing up Mizorowski. I hope it pans out. I hope he's fantastic. I hope he helps the Brewers win. But you have to score runs. The Brewers lost the game 1-0. The Brewers lost the game 2-0. You have to be able to create runs and create, a little bit of stress on those opposing pitchers and defenses. We have to see the consistency from the offense before I get excited about pitching, because the pitching this year hasn't been the problem. It has certainly been the offense. And I don't think any Brewer fan out there would disagree with that. I'm excited for Mizorowski. I'm excited he's going to get his chance. He's been dominating down in Nashville. But I think the Brewers are also curious. I think Matt Arnold is also curious. What do we have in Mizorowski? And do we have an opportunity to explore for a bet? Because there's no secret that that's exactly what the Milwaukee Brewers need. They didn't necessarily need a ton of bat tonight. They get the 4-1 win. Jackson Chourio, Jake Bauers with home runs as the Brewers win their 36th game of the year, 36-32 on the season. My thanks to all of you for tuning in, and thank you for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide. You can also follow the show wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, all of those great apps, as well as over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and follow us there. We'll get back up on Thursday. No show tomorrow as the Brewers have an early day game, but we'll pick things back up Thursday as the Brewers will welcome in the St. Louis Cardinals to American Family Field. Until then, we'll talk to y'all later. As always, have a good one. And as always, win, lose, or draw, go Brewers.